welcome to Ripple Effect. My name is Don Levitt, and on behalf of Wavetronics and the Ripple Effects team, thank you for joining us tonight. We hope that you find your experience here tonight to be both uplifting and inspiring. I have spent the better part of my 54 years on this planet telling stories. I love stories. I love the power that stories have to connect us and to transform us. We started Ripple Effect 6 years ago to create a venue for employees, families, and friends of Wavetronics to share their stories. And it's built on the idea that our stories, like the smallest pebbles, can create waves that will ripple out and impact others. The theme for our stories tonight is joy. Finding the kind of lasting joy that makes our lives meaningful. Each of our presenters tonight have discovered joy in different ways, but they've all come to similar conclusions. That joy is not a destination that you can arrive at when all of the conditions are right, and that joy is something that you find by doing something. As Shakespeare wrote in Troilus and Cressida, things won are done. Joy's soul lies in the doing. Tonight, you are going to hear courageous stories about the joy that our presenters have found and the impact that it has had on their lives. Each of these three people have worked really hard to prepare for tonight, and their willingness to share their stories with us deserves to be celebrated. We invite you to listen to them, and we promise that if you do, you will see these three people differently. You will be inspired by them, and hopefully you will hear something tonight that will help make you and your lives a little better. Our first presenter this evening is a living legend at Wavetronics. Jim Leray started at Wavetronics in 2001, and over the course of 23 years, his skills have been used to create software for everything, from a morning TV news program to an entire data collection system that complemented Wavetronics' original radar sensors. Jim currently is busy working on our Expanse product line. Jim was born near San Francisco, and his family moved to Guam when he was 8. When he was 14, his family moved to Hawaii, where he excelled at coconut husking and not surfing. He attended BYU Hawaii for 2 years before transferring to BYU in Provo, where he earned a degree in mathematics. He met his wife Debbie volunteering at the 2002 Winter Olympics, and between them they have 9 kids and 31 grandchildren. What do cumin and coriander have in common? Well, they are the spices that bring curries and chilies to life. What brings spice to your life? The real value of our talents is in the relationships they help us develop with others. And for Jim, those relationships are the true source of joy. A warm welcome, please, for Mr. Jim Leray.
Southwest Sushi. What is it? To me, it tells the story of my life. How I found joy through developing relationships over the years by cooking. Here I am, 8 years old, we just got to Guam. No homework, no friends, and no TV. I was bored. I did the unthinkable thing. I asked my mom, is there something I could do? Well, she was busy sewing and couldn't really play with me at the time, but she did surprise me by asking if I would like to cook spaghetti dinner for the family. Well, I didn't know how to cut an onion or chop an onion, but I didn't get stitches. Soon, the aroma of onions, garlic, and ground beef sauteing in a pan filled the kitchen. And then my mom measured aromatic spices into my hand to add to the frying pan. A teaspoon of oregano, a half a teaspoon each of rosemary, thyme, and marjoram, and 2 bay leaves. That spaghetti dinner wasn't just for the family. It was the first notes of my culinary symphony. Through the years, my mom would start leaving notes for me, asking if I had please cook dinner for the family. A responsibility I relished, and a connection with my mom that I've kept through the years. As a Boy Scout, armed with the cooking knowledge imparted by my mother, I earned the Cooking Merit Badge. I embarked on this adventure one summer at a summer camp, where for a mere $6.10 per person, I cooked not just for my patrol, but for the whole troop. We had hot cereal for breakfast, sandwiches for lunch, and spaghetti or chili for dinner. Along with the camaraderie that you feel when you cook a meal for somebody, I learned some other things at that summer camp, like the difference between a can of beans and a bag of dried beans. You can imagine 6 bags of dried beans in a pot with 12 cups of water simmering over the campfire. Those who have cooked beans, you've already laughed. You know where this is going. But soon, just like my friendships with my scouts and my cooking knowledge, those beans began to grow until they consumed what I thought would be impossible, but 2 gigantic pots. And after all, what's more uplifting and heartwarming than a scout troop full of beans? Fast forward a few years till I was a freshman in college, where Tuesdays and Thursdays was a light day. I delved into the art of bread baking, and soon the familiar fragrance of white or cinnamon bread baking became commonplace in the house, but was also sorely missed when the pressures of academics didn't allow me to bake bread. My mom especially let me know that she missed the bread. Next, at the same time, I worked in a Chinese restaurant as a dishwasher in Kaneohe, Hawaii, called Golden Crown. In between loads of dishes, I took this downtime to watch the chefs as they prepared the vegetables with lightning speed, chopping them very quickly without losing their fingers. And I took that opportunity for an impromptu Chinese cooking lesson, and where I was able to learn to chop vegetables quickly and also debone a chicken in less than 2 minutes. I also learned that it's not just the skills and practice that help you develop your cooking skills, but also your relationships with your mentors. First my mom at home, and now these chefs in a restaurant. As a young father, I put of a growing family, these cooking skills learned in the Chinese restaurant became invaluable. Quick, delicious dinners became my forte, and a newfound ability to repurpose leftovers into delicious meals, like chicken Diane and dirty rice, occasion twist on chicken and mushrooms and fried rice. I also delved into the art of Dutch oven cooking. You can cook a lot of good food in a Dutch oven. As a scout leader, I used cooking around the campfire as a catalyst for bringing boys together while we enjoyed Dutch oven pizza and fajitas. And I'll give us an opportunity to learn from each other. It was these shared moments of delight that gave me the motivation to continue to cook for groups of people, sometimes large groups of people. Cooking for a large group is very challenging, but also very rewarding. I remember cooking for an early dealers meeting in Wavetronics history, where we had a Dutch oven dinner of barbecue pork and all the trimmings, along with Dutch oven upside down cakes for dessert. I remember the Chinese dealers touching the Dutch oven pots and saying, "Ooh, it's hot, it's hot." Another opportunity to cook for large groups came when I was asked to help lead a group of male church leaders to create a luncheon for 250 ladies. Here, the biggest challenge was having a kitchen full of men who, in the terms of situational leadership, were all D1s, excited but clueless. and to see them create this luncheon. I don't know what brought me more joy was watching these men create the luncheon for the women and working together as a great team, or the enjoyment the women had as they ate the turkey avocado sandwiches on homemade 3-cheese focaccia bread that we made for them. Here I wasn't just cooking good food for people to enjoy, but now I was actually guiding and teaching others, just as I was mentored as a youth. After my divorce, I also learned that knowing how to cook came in handy when I started dating. A loaf of bread is like a beautiful rose, and a meal like a bouquet. When I started dating Debbie, who later became my wife, I thought a meal of Asian lettuce wraps would be something that she would like. But it wasn't just the thought of making the lettuce wraps, but it was taking it up to the Salt Lake airport and dropping them off to her before she left on an evening flight that left her speechless. After we married, we had a large blended family that needed unifying. Between the two of us, we had 9 children with 7 kids, ranging from ages 7 to 22. We had our work cut out for us, but guess what worked? We, first of all, shared our love of cooking until everyone was familiar with the kitchen and could cook good food. And then we raised it up a notch. Inspired by shows like The Iron Chef, we transformed our kitchen into a battleground of culinary creativity. Mango-themed challenges gave birth to some delicious mango cupcakes and a mango pie. A cucumber challenge created a unique stir fry. But a throwdown challenge, sushi throwdown challenge between me and my son Micah gave birth to what I might be most famous for, my Southwest sushi. So I thought my son-in-law from Texas would be suspicious of seaweed and raw fish. So I decided to do a little culinary twist, fusion, with zucchini tempura, grilled blackened chicken, cilantro lime rice, avocado, and roasted jalapenos, along with a key lime honey chipotle dipping sauce. This Southwest sushi became one of the favorites in our family and a star at many birthday parties. We decided to also submit it to Utah State Fair one year, where it got me featured on Channel 2 News with Chef Brian at the News at Noon. We didn't start off to try and get fame and fortune through cooking, but it was our desires to bring our family together, and the output, the fame and fortune were just byproducts of the process. My love for cooking and the relationships it's brought into my life gave birth to what I might be most proud of. And it all started when my first wife, Roberta, was going through the Better Homes and Gardens magazine and stumbled across a gingerbread house decorating competition. Excited about challenging my cooking, baking, and decorating skills, we decided to enter. Well, we didn't win any prizes or anything. We had a lot of fun making gingerbread houses. And making gingerbread houses soon became one of our family traditions. The following year, we attended the Festival of Trees, where we encountered the gingerbread village. And the gingerbread village is where individual gingerbread houses are sold, and the proceeds are donated to the Primary Children's Hospital. Seeing an opportunity to donate to a worthy cause, we decided that we would participate. And so the next year, we submitted our first entry. It was a gingerbread carousel built with a working gingerbread carousel, working on some Christmas magic and an old record player. Creating these gingerbread houses for the Festival of Trees became a family tradition. It starts the day after Thanksgiving, where we bake the gingerbread, and then we construct the houses, and then we bring the grandkids and children together to bring the creation to life with their own decorating flair. Over the years, we have donated over 35 gingerbread houses to the Festival of Trees, each one a testament to our love of baking and our desire to spread joy. Inspired by family-friendly movies, each gingerbread house has presents their own set of challenges. An example would be the house from the movie Up, designed to support 10 pounds of dum-dum suckers as its iconic balloons. Or the Rapunzel's tower rising with intricate details. Or a Barbie house engineered to support floors with minimal exterior walls. Solving these artistic and architectural problems brings great satisfaction, but also fills the season with a spirit of creativity, joy, giving, and most of all, connection. In essence, cooking has helped me cultivate meaningful relationships. Beyond the flavors and aromas, beyond the delicate dance of ingredients and techniques, I have a secret ingredient, and that's love. Love makes everything taste better. So as you consider your own passions and talents, consider the vivid tapestry that can unfold when you share your talents with others. After all, true joy in life comes not from just the food you share, but from the people we share our food with. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Jim will be serving sushi out of the back of his car tonight. Everyone who is interested is invited to follow him to the parking garage after the event. Our next presenter is energy and joy personified. Lonnie Twileva Haywood joined Wavetronics over 3 years ago, and she recently moved into a fitness and wellness role that was tailor-made for her. That is because Lonnie is a certified personal trainer and a fitness instructor, and she is currently working to certify as a yoga and Pilates instructor. Her new responsibilities allow her to bring these joys and skills to her job, which includes directing the evolving fitness program at Wavetronics. Lonnie loves spending time with her family, who she says has claim to the majority of her heart. She married the love of her life, Colin, over 18 years ago, and together they are the proud parents of 4 very loving and very kind children. Lonnie's extended family includes 7 siblings, in-laws, and too many nieces and nephews and cousins to count. Lonnie is Afakasi, which means half Tongan and half Caucasian. She is very proud of her Tongan heritage and hopes to one day visit the Tongan island where her father was born and raised. For Lonnie, fitness is not just a hobby or a pastime, but a pathway to joy that once literally saved her life. Through fitness, Lonnie has learned that joy is not a destination, but a journey. Please welcome Lonnie Haywood.
People have used adjectives such as happy, positive, energetic, and outgoing to describe me. But what they don't know is there was a moment in time when this wasn't the case at all. Shortly after giving birth to my 4th child, almost 9 years ago, something happened. While all 4 of my pregnancies were filled with joy and excitement, only 3 of those 4 were filled with the same joy and excitement once they were born. My pregnancy journey with number 4 was no different than the other 3. I worked the same amount of hours, had the same loving and supportive family and friends, and even consumed the same insane amounts of candy. So, what changed? On the day that my number 4 was born, I was filled with the same unconditional love that I had with my previous 3, cradling him in my arms, taking in the best smell in the world, sweet baby's breath, and even marveling at his tiny fingers and toes. I remember going home and things looking a little different from before, which was to be expected because I had at home an 8, 5, and rambunctious 3-year-old. Shortly after navigating this new normal, things started to drastically change. I started to feel anxious, sad, and lonely, wondering how I could feel so incredibly sad and alone in a home with a loving husband and 4 amazing human beings. Up to this point, I've always considered myself a very cup half full type of person, looking for the positive in people and in situations, yet was feeling these overwhelming sense of hopelessness. I even had my mom and my mother-in-law coming over regularly to help with the daily chores, so why were these feelings of helplessness not going away? I started to struggle to connect with my newborn to the point of not wanting to feed him, not wanting to hold him, and just feeling like the days started to blur into this monotonous routine, right? Each day an agonizing struggle to find purpose. One night shortly after giving birth, I woke up in a panic and I couldn't breathe. And I felt like someone was standing on my chest and I was pacing the room. My husband grabbed me a brown paper bag and told me to breathe into it. And I was convinced I was having a panic attack, so he took me to the hospital and what they found were gallstones and told me that my gallbladder needed to come out. Within days, I had gallbladder removal surgery, and I was relieved. I thought for sure this was the culprit of my emotional distress, but it wasn't. I went home from the surgery expecting a change, yet still feeling engulfed in sadness. There were a few instances where I knew I needed help. The first was when my best friend and her husband showed up out of the blue with cleaning supplies on a day that was a very dark day for me. And she said, "We're here to clean your house." And I've since asked her how she knew I needed help, and she said that I just seemed so out of touch with what was going on around me when I'm usually very responsive, upbeat, and positive. The other defining moment I knew I needed help was when I was sitting on my bed and my newborn baby was lying in front of me crying. I don't know if he was hungry, I don't know if he was tired, I don't know what it was, but I didn't care. And I just sat there and I didn't want to hold him. And I remember thinking in an instant that my family would be much better off without me. And those thoughts took me to a dark place. I fully imagined someone else raising my children because I couldn't be the mom that they deserved. Shortly after this episode, I scheduled an appointment with my doctor, and I was diagnosed with postpartum depression and put on medication. What is postpartum depression? The condition is characterized by more intense feelings of sadness, despair, anxiety, and irritability. It affects a woman's ability to function, and if left untreated, the symptoms may worsen. This condition affects 1 in 7 women after giving birth. To put this into perspective, I have 4 sisters, a daughter, and a mom. So statistically speaking, one of us was bound to be diagnosed with PPD. The condition, only about half of women who have PPD are not diagnosed or they don't seek treatment for it. Now, there's a difference between baby blues and postpartum depression. Baby blues are intense mood swings that happen within a few days to up to a few weeks after giving birth, whereas postpartum depression is longer lasting, more intense feelings of sadness, despair, and hopelessness. Okay, this is not the end of my story. And spoiler alert, it gets better. So, while I feel like the medication I was taking helped bring me out of some dark places. I didn't want to rely on it forever, and I still felt disconnected from my mind and my body. After going through the motions for a few months, I decided it was time to get to the gym. Now, the thought of going to the gym terrified me. And I remember stepping foot in said gym and looking at everyone and thinking that they were looking at me and thinking that I don't belong. I just felt very insecure. I wanted to run out these doors and never return. These insecurities kept me from returning to a gym setting at that time. And while expressing these feelings to a friend who was also a personal trainer, she invited me to come and train with her in her basement. I was convinced I was beyond fixing, but I went to see Kelly anyways. I started to see Kelly at 5 a.m. since this is the time that didn't interrupt my family life. I remember sitting down with her for a consultation. I can't even look at her. I remember sitting down with her for a consultation and almost immediately being put at ease. She asked me questions about my fitness goals, and I explained to her my concerns and challenges of balancing work life and motherhood with self-care. At the time, I was too embarrassed to divulge my postpartum depression diagnosis. Why would I admit this to a clearly perfect wife and mother who had her crap together when I didn't, right? I didn't imagine any of the women in my neighborhood ever struggled with this problem. These were the lies I was telling myself that kept me from talking about my depression. After several sessions together, Kelly helped me realize that my overall wellness plan wasn't just about physical fitness and losing weight, but about my mental and emotional well-being. She called it mind, body, soul. Exercise became my daily dose of mental health meds. Science states that exercise causes our body to release feel-good chemicals like serotonin or endorphins. Some like to call it cannabis-like chemicals that help to improve our mood. Some of the benefits of releasing endorphins are decreased symptoms of depression, reduces stress and anxiety, it lowers inflammation, it promotes a stronger immune system, it helps improve your sleep, it helps boost your mood, all the things. Through consistent exercise, these side effects were happening to me slowly but surely. I needed to be patient with myself while also giving myself some grace. But once I recognized these effects, there was no turning back. These pictures were taken about 2 years apart at the beginning of my wellness journey. There are obvious differences in my physical appearance, but what you're not seeing are the mental and emotional changes taking place here. I had emerged from the dark places of my mind. I had more energy for myself and for my family. I had more confidence. I was sleeping better, all the things. Now, this didn't happen overnight. Like I said, 2 years here. This didn't happen overnight, and I remember my motto at this time was one day at a time, one workout at a time, and consistency is key. I'd also like to mention that during this transformation, the way I spoke to myself changed, and my body reacted to that. I went from negative self-talk to kindness and encouragement. The power of positive affirmations is real, even if it's just within our own heads. Shortly after that year mark, we moved to Texas for my husband's new job, and guess what? I joined a gym. I grew to love going to the gym and partaking of the group fitness classes there. I was regular at like high fitness, a pump class, boot camp, and more. About 2 years after joining the gym, I had the gym owner asking me if I wanted to get certified and start teaching classes there. So I did. I got certified in a pump class. My sister and I got certified in high fitness and a few different other formats. I didn't realize at the time how much joy this next step in my wellness journey would bring to my life. I couldn't decide what I loved more, moving my body for my own health or helping others find that same joy through their fitness journey. Whichever it is, I haven't turned my back on either of these things, not even during the shutdown. As you can see here, my sister and I taught free online fitness classes during the pandemic. Helping others find joy in movement has and still does bring me so much joy and happiness. Looking at some of these faces just fills my heart with so much joy. Some of my favorite teaching moments are the ones that bring the community together and we get to move our bodies for a cause. These experiences began my fitness and wellness journey almost 9 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I have found a passion in helping others find joy in movement and overall wellness, just like Kelly had done for me. I don't know if she realizes how instrumental she was in saving my life at that time. And it made such an impact on me that I couldn't imagine doing anything else, which is why I feel so blessed to be able to do this for my day job too. Wellness is a journey, not a destination. Through my wellness journey, I not only reclaimed my health, but I also gained a newfound sense of empowerment and self-love. Now, I'm not here to tell everyone to go out tomorrow and hire a personal trainer or to become a fitness instructor, unless, of course, that's the passion of yours. But I am here to encourage a first step towards healing, whatever that might look like, especially if you're feeling stuck or alone or in a dark place. I know that finding joy looks different for everyone. My 16-year-old son, 17, as of yesterday, my 17-year-old son takes to drawing when he needs a pick-me-up. My 14-year-old daughter finds joy in watching a sunset. My 12-year-old son's joy comes from playing sports and being a part of a team. And my youngest is happiest when solving math problems. Future Wavetronics engineer here, guys. 20 years. I've learned that in the darkest moments, reaching out for help can be the first step towards healing, and that a significant part of breaking the stigma around depression is talking about it and making sure that open conversations are welcome and not dismissed. We don't need to feel ashamed thinking that nobody else is going through the things that we're battling. This thinking was detrimental to my healing. It delayed the social and emotional support that I desperately needed. I'm so grateful for my family and for their patience with me during this process and for the joy that they have always brought to my life. They've always been the center point of my joy, and I'm so grateful for them. I've shared my journey and these experiences from a place of love, care, and healing, and I hope it touched at least one person tonight. Thank you for your time.
Great job. Thank you very much for that beautiful and powerful message. Our final presenter tonight has been with Wavetronics from the very literal beginning. Thomas Carr-Lindsay joined Wavetronics in September of 2000, the day after proposing to his girlfriend, Elizabeth. Originally from Thatcher, Arizona, Thomas graduated from BYU and moved to Tempe, Arizona to work for Motorola. He met Elizabeth while she was attending Arizona State, and after she graduated, he followed her to Utah County. I don't know if that is stalking or if that's just deeply committed. But the rest, as they say, is smart sensor history. Thomas and Elizabeth are the parents of 3 sons, and they love watching them pursue their passions in chemistry, drama, and lacrosse. The couple also enjoys hiking together, writing, drawing, and watercoloring. But Thomas has a secret side that includes a passion he holds very dear to his heart. And it's caused him to wonder why it is so easy sometimes for us to neglect the things that bring us the most joy. Why is it sometimes so easy to push aside the things that bring our lives the greatest fulfillment? For Thomas, being his best self means staying active in the things that he loves, because if we don't do the things we love, our lives can feel very empty indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Carlindsey.
This is a picture of my mom and dad. I've studied this picture a little bit, so let me point out a couple of things. First, you got to notice my dad's great polka dot socks. And you should know that my mom's dress was red satin. Notice the delicate position of her foot and her hand, the swish of her skirt, her excellent posture while in mid-turn. My dad, while not nearly as graceful as my mom, looks quite comfortable with the turn that they are executing. So it's clear to me from looking at this picture that my parents were dancers. But I never saw my parents dance. They didn't dance in the kitchen, they didn't go out dancing on weekends, and they didn't take dance classes. They did, however, instill a love for dance in me and my sisters. From the time I was 5 years old, my mom had me enrolled in a dance class at the small town dance academy. And Gayla Curtis was my instructor. Every year at Christmas time, she would stage her version of the Nutcracker Ballet, and I performed many roles in these productions. I was Hans Peter, the nephew of Dulcimer, who gives Clara the Nutcracker. I was Fritz, Clara's brother, who breaks the Nutcracker. And at 10 years old, I was the Nutcracker Prince. About the time I started in junior high, Gayla Curtis started teaching folk dance at the community college across the street from my house. My dad also taught at that community college, so I got free tuition, and I was always enrolled in a class. I loved learning the dances from all over the world. We performed the Harabi Tapatio. We did this at a festival at a local Catholic church. In hindsight, it was pretty strange that I was performing the national dance of Mexico in front of a predominantly Mexican audience. I danced with Russian dancers. And my favorite was Hungarian. I performed folk dance throughout junior high and high school. Still, most of my friends in high school didn't know that I was a dancer. So they were pretty surprised when at a talent show at the school, I performed a dance that I had choreographed with a yo-yo. My wife calls this my Napoleon Dynamite moment. There are so many things that I love about dancing. I love learning a difficult step and then practicing it until it becomes easy. I love the endorphins that come from doing a fast-paced routine in front of an audience. I like doing something that looks cool, or at least I think it looks cool. And I like the concentration that comes from thinking about my feet and my arms and my posture and my breathing all at the same time. But more than any of that, the thing I love most about dancing is just getting lost in the music. When I don't have to be anything specific and I don't have to have any specific paradigm, I can just move in whatever way comes to mind as I'm feeling the music. Well, I graduated from high school with my class of 80 people, most of whom I had attended kindergarten with. And I started it with the incoming freshman class at BYU of 8,000 people. With this 100 times increase in the size of the student body, I was afraid that I would somehow lose my identity in the sea of people. I would imagine sometimes myself walking in between classes in the crowd, and I would just bust out a dance move, doing my own little flash mob of one right there in the middle of everybody. This musing helped me to reassure myself that as long as I could dance, I would still be me. I never went through with my flash mob of one idea, but there was a time in the lobby of the Fine Arts Building when I spontaneously, without invitation, joined in with a modern dance group. They were doing an improv routine right there in the pedestrian traffic. So how did this uninhibited, creative dancer that I just described become the analytical and conservative engineer that you know me as? Well, I decided to be an engineer when I was in junior high. And this was a good decision because from the time I was very young, I have enjoyed taking things apart, figuring out how they work, and then putting them back together again. And I must not have been very good at it because my family made a rule that I could only take things apart if they were already broken. I spent days one time engineering an elevator onto my swing set. The idea is that with pulleys and ropes that I could lift myself up to the top of the monkey bars with just a gentle pull on a rope. And it worked, sort of. I still get that same thrill from putting all of the pieces of a system together and then setting it in motion. So while I was in junior high, I was very comfortable up on stage performing a choreographed dance number. But I was very uncomfortable at school dances. At church dances, I would spend more time out in the hallway getting a drink of water than I would in the gym. So what if I were to tell you that we're going to bring up the music right now and we're all going to dance together? How many of you get a pit in your stomach at the thought? So I'm very familiar with that feeling of terror. I suppose it comes from not wanting to make a fool of ourselves in front of people. And this inhibition is a big reason that I don't dance as much now as I would like. But it's certainly not the only reason. A number of years ago, Elizabeth and I attended a ballroom dance camp at BYU. We were in the large ballroom of the Student Center. There were hundreds of people in the class. The instructor was wearing a microphone so that everybody could hear him. And he approached me in the middle of the class and said, "Sir, are you an engineer?" So I went up to him after class and said, how did you know that I was an engineer? He didn't answer my question, but his wife, who was standing nearby, said, "Well, it's who you are, and it shows in how you dance, and that's a good thing." I'm not sure it's a good thing, but I am an engineer, and I am a dancer, and I suppose that each of these things affects the way I do the other. As a society, we tend to put engineers in one category and we put dancers in another, and there's not a whole lot of overlap in between them. I'm naturally reserved, so I am content to be seen as an engineer, and that's another big reason that I don't dance as much as I would like. But there's still yet another reason, and probably the biggest reason of all, and that's simply because of the demands on my time. As the engineering curriculum at BYU intensified, I gradually stopped taking dance classes. When I started at BYU, I saw my primary identity was as a dancer. When I left BYU, I saw my primary identity as an engineer. I didn't stop dancing altogether, though. Shortly after Elizabeth and I met, we went on our first date to a club where we went swing dancing. We had a group of friends at this time, and we'd go out dancing together, and over the years, the Lindy Hop became our signature dance. Once we were married, kids joined our family, dancing became more of a once-a-year type activity. So again, between the demands of my time, my own natural inhibitions, and the expectations of society, I don't dance nearly as much as I'd like. Before tonight, most of you had never seen me dance, just as I had never seen my parents dance. But there is a cost to not doing the things that we love. There was a time in my career when I was involved in a very large, complex, and important project. And I threw myself into this project completely. During this time in my life, people would ask me what was going on, and I would say, I am eating, drinking, and sleeping this project. And they would say, that's not healthy. You need to do something for yourself. And I would say, yes, I know. But I did it anyway because I wanted to know that I was doing everything I could to make this project a success. Well, the project didn't turn out to be such a great success, and this became a dark time in my life. I started seeing a therapist and I was sure that he was going to tell me that I was seriously depressed. He told me that I had a mild mood disturbance. But during this time, Elizabeth came to me and said, I saw that the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square is holding auditions for dancers of all ages to be in their upcoming Christmas concert. She suggested that my son, who is also a dancer, and I audition. At first, I dismissed the idea because it would take time away from this project, and I just didn't have mental energy for one more thing. But the more I thought about it, the more optimistic I became, and I decided that it would be a good idea after all. I imagined myself under the lights in the conference center with my arms spread wide and my head held high, and I thought this would be a good thing. This is something I can do. So I worked hard at the auditions. My son and I were both accepted into the production. Turns out that all of the men who auditioned were accepted into the production. It didn't matter. I felt good about it, and my son and I had a good time. This was a step for me to get myself out of the hole that I had put myself into. There have been a few magical moments in my life related to dance. And one of these was at my brother-in-law's wedding reception. It was at a beautiful setting. My nieces were in cream-colored dresses. My nephews and my sons were in black suits and ties. There was a live band, and I was feeling the music. So I got the kids and started leading them around the dance floor in kind of a serpentine dance. Other family members who aren't necessarily dancers joined in, and it was a magical moment for our family and a unifying experience. Are we taking the time to savor the things that bring us joy? Do those who are close to us know that we love life? Are we able to share our best selves with others? Elizabeth and I sometimes talk about going back to school after our family has grown and studying dance. I think I'd like to be a choreographer because when I close my eyes and listen to music, I can see people dancing, and I have ideas for lots of dance productions that I would like to stage. My son tells me that after I pay for his college, I should quit my job and pursue my dreams. And maybe I will, but maybe I won't, because I do love engineering as much as I love dancing. So what is it that you have loved since you were a kid? Whether it's music, art, sports, pretending, just imagining, whatever it is, these things are important because we're important. So despite the demands and the expectations of adulthood, let's keep the best of ourselves alive.
Thank you, Thomas. You will be pleased to know that the Ripple Effect 11 cast is available for parties. They work cheap. And there may or may not be a Wavetronics dance fitness video in the works soon. So watch out for that. Well, this has been a great evening. And now we invite you to stick around and enjoy each other's company. We invite you to enjoy more of the delicious food. And we invite you to join us October 9th for Ripple Effect 12. Until then, do something disruptively good for someone, and have a great evening.